My name is Dan Hoolihan, and I'm a past president of the IEEE EMC Society. And I'm honored and pleased today to have with us another past president of the EMC Society, Mr. Jim Toler. Jim was president back in 1976, 1977, a few years before we even celebrated our 25th anniversary. So Jim, it's my great personal pleasure to have you here today, and welcome.
Well, thank you very much. I've enjoyed meeting people and seeing what all is going on. So.
As I already mentioned, you were president in 1976 and 77. Now, did you serve a one-year term from July 1st, 76 through June 30th, 77, or did you actually serve 2 years?
To the best of my memory, it's to only 1 year.
Okay.
My memory is not all that good.
Because we made a switch somewhere after that where we all ended up serving 2 years, because, for example, I served 98 and 99. It was a full 2-year term.
Oh, okay.
And it was actually, we switched again from January 1st through December 31st. So that was one of the changes from when you were president.
Okay.
But what would you like to tell us about your presidency? Is there anything that you specifically remember was a challenge or a particular success?
Mm-hmm. The main thing that I remember is the opening up of opportunities to deal with European EMC groups, and in particular the Swiss group, the Swiss Institute of Technology. We had some very good interactions with them, and made a trip or so over there. They came over here, and so that opened up a lot of opportunities, I think, for me, and I think for the society to have an influence on what's going on there.
So did you deal with like Tom Dvorak from the Swiss Institute?
Yes, very much so. And with the, I'm not sure whether the person was the director of the institute or whether he was a mid-level administrator, but there was another person there that he and his wife got to know my wife and myself. And,
wasn't Albert Einstein, was it?
Don't think so.
Do you remember when the first, was it the first one at Montreux? Montreux?
Yes.
And what year was that? 77 then?
Yes, I think so.
Okay,
mm-hmm.
so you were instrumental. Did you go to that one?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So what can you tell us about that? Because we don't know very much about that one.
Mm-hmm.
Us younger people.
Yeah.
So what can you tell us about that? Like, what was the registration, or where was it located? In a hotel?
I believe it was in a convention center. It was in a large facility there. Very nice facility. In structure, the conference wasn't a whole lot different from the ones that are conducted here. There were exhibitors that we were not familiar with because of the location. But the outstanding thing I recall is the incredible courtesy and openness of the people there. So,
do you want to guess at the number of attendees or the number of exhibitors? Just rough numbers off the top of your head.
I don't think it was as large as our conferences at the time.
Okay.
So I would guess that there were 750 maybe attendees, something like that.
Okay.
And 15 to 20 exhibitors. It was a smaller exhibit than what we had here. So,
was there any key problem that you had to deal with as president that made you lay awake at night?
Not really. We had an awfully good group of officers, and very cooperative and so forth. So things just seemed to go quite smoothly. It was a good time to be president. So.
How about Jackie Janowski? She followed you as the president?
Yes.
And we don't know very much about Jackie either, but what can you tell us about her presidency, or what you knew about her?
The main thing I remember about her was her laugh. When she laughed, everyone around knew that she was laughing, and she seemed to fully enjoy it.
So she had a loud laugh.
Yeah, she was a delightful person to know, and served well in this society as the president.
So yeah. Well, that's good. That's good to hear. I understand that you spent a large part of your career at Georgia Tech Research Institute.
Yes.
And the last part of your career, you were dealing with the effects of electromagnetic fields on biological systems, if that's a correct term.
That's exactly correct.
And
yes.
would you like to tell us what your nickname was and why?
If I tell you the nickname, I definitely need to tell you why. So, I was kind of known as the rat man on campus. I did get very interested in the effects of electronic systems on biological systems, and as a result had large populations of generally mice. We exposed them for their lifetime, and our emphasis was on low-level exposure for long time periods, the effort being to try to simulate what humans experience in everyday life. So a typical experiment would involve 200 mice from birth to death, 200 exposure animals, 200 non-exposure animals, sham animals, and then at definite times during their life cycle we would withdraw a number and test biological endpoints, looking for things like mammary tumors and tissue degeneration and such as that.
Also, I think you mentioned to me in your career that you did some work with pacemaker companies, and just what kind of, in general, what kind of testing did you do on those, and what kind of results were you looking for?
Okay. Our introduction to that came through a company called Cordis, a pacemaker manufacturer in Miami that I'm not sure is still in business. But Dr. Peter Tarjan came to Georgia Tech looking for help. His concern was the possibility that pulsed radar systems might in some way alter the pulse rate of an implanted pacemaker. So Peter made it possible for me to go to a number of medical conferences and meet pacemaker manufacturers. He took me there and introduced me to them. And they then began to bring their pacemakers to Georgia Tech for EMI or EMC evaluations. We struggle with how to test them. Out in the air is not anything close to their normal installation location. So we devised a solution of saline to kind of represent at least a composite of body tissues, and put them in the saline solution, put the lead out horizontally, and then we had a number of different high-powered radar systems at Georgia Tech. So we exposed them to that environment in that kind of a solution. Interestingly, the first test involved a unit that was the largest, world's largest sales unit. In terms of sales volume, it was the world's best pacemaker. And when we turned on the first radar, the pulse rate of the radar altered the pulse rate of the pacemaker.
Not so good.
So we began working then with pacemaker design as well as pacemaker testing. And the design problems were not overpowering. They basically involved the conventional filtering and shielding. But it had to be done in a biologically compatible way with tissue. That all had to be a consideration. So we wound up with a rather extensive testing program for pacemaker manufacturers, both here and abroad. And it was a learning experience for all of us, and made some very good friends in the process. So.
Did you also then get involved with, for example, the microwave oven issue, and microwave ovens and pacemakers? How was your research with radars related to that? Or
the microwave oven, of course, is a continuous wave field, not a pulsed wave field. So we had suspicions from the beginning that the effect might not be as great from microwave ovens, although those were the things that were feared at the time. So.
Yeah.
But we had an array of microwave ovens, and the test began with the door closed. Then the door was opened by a certain amount, and radiation levels went up, of course, and then opened by more and more. And pacemakers weren't generally interfered with by microwave ovens. But we pretty well proved that, established that point, and relieved some of the concern with microwave oven exposure. So it was a public concern at the time, but not so much from a technical or engineering point of view. So.
I see. When did you retire from your active working career?
I retired from Georgia Tech in '96. I was not prepared for retirement, and woke up on a Monday morning and I was not supposed to go to work, and so I nearly went crazy for 3 months. And my wife finally agreed to let me go back to work, so I went back and worked for another year, and then retired, and even got the retiree gifts. I have 2 sets of retiree
Two sets
gifts.
of retiree gifts. You are an engineer.
Yeah. So retired a second time, and the last time in '97.
Jim, I just want to congratulate you today on your career, and also on your award that you're going to get today. It's called the Hall of Fame Award from the EMC Society. So you're certainly a very deserving person, and we're proud to give that award to you later on today. And would you like to say anything else before we end the interview?
I just want to say that I'm very pleased, very honored to even have worked in this EMC Society, the organization and the people that work in the field and in the laboratories and such. As I've mentioned before, I benefited professionally, but I realized more and more that I've benefited personally in terms of knowing awfully good people, dedicated people, and I'm very pleased, extremely pleased to receive this award today. So,
well, thank you, Jim. It's been a pleasure interviewing you and getting to know you.
Thank you very much.
Be it, Mike.
Fantastic.